everyone, it's Michael Douglas. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Pundit where we talk about music, not medicine. And it's another line items on this particular episode. And we're going to talk about 4 albums that, believe it or not, turned 50 years old this month, March 1975. You know, the 1970s were a great time for recorded music, not the least of which were the concepts of the concept album or album art. These are also a couple of other characteristics of 1970s era albums that really hold true 50 years later. It was a very special time for album releases in this country, and we're right smack dab in the halfway point of the 1970s. So without any further ado, let's get to it, and in no particular order, we'll start with the album Katy Lied by Steely Dan. Now, this was the first album where Steely Dan was officially winnowed down to founders/songwriters Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. And if anything, this change seemed to open up new musical avenues that they could really explore that freed the duo from being too beholden to the typical rock approach. So this is where a lot of purists say that with this album, Katy Lied, the album with the Katy Did grasshopper thing on the cover, was the first album that heralded this new approach to a more jazzy kind of, dare I say, yacht rock approach to their music. Meticulously intricate and sneakily heartfelt mid-tempo songs like the title track and the track we'll hear in this snippet coming up, Dr. Wu, were a direct result of this approach. And the second side of this vinyl record is full of unheralded gems, including Any World That I'm Welcome To, where Michael McDonald's backing vocals, yacht rock, really shine.
Katy tried, I was halfway crucified. I was on the other side of no tomorrow.
Next up, Young Americans by David Bowie. And like most of the rest of the listening world, David Bowie fell in love with the sounds emanating from the Philly soul era of 1970s soul. And Young Americans is his touching homage to this particular era. It's not his best written material, but his devotion to that format ensures that everything sounds very lush and romantic. And even if it's lesser Bowie, not much, but lesser, you still get a great cover, as in Across the Universe, or a forgotten album cut with a lot of spunk, Somebody Up There Likes Me, or 2 of his finest radio songs, the title track, Young Americans, and the #1 pop smash and R&B top 20 smash that was played on Soul Train, Fame. Let's take a listen to the opening riff of Fame, one of the best parts about the song. Next, the original soundtrack by 10cc. Now, long adored in their UK, 10cc received a great boost in exposure and finances with the worldwide mega hit single, I'm Not in Love. That song hit #2 in this country. Luckily, that led new fans to one of their finest records that I can think of, where one of the differing strengths of the band's 2 songwriting teams was on full display. These guys, 10cc, could always pull off a humorous lyric with the best of them. And the key to this record's success is the melodies of satires like Life is a Minestrone or The Second Sitting for the Last Supper, which is what we'll hear coming up in this little snippet. These songs always rank high on the hummable meter, if you could measure that kind of thing.
Another fish head in the dustbin. Another loser in the queue for the soup kitchen. Another reason for a visit. We think you'd better come down.
Finally, Frampton, not Frampton Comes Alive, but Frampton, released in 1975 before that concert album a couple years later by Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton's career was on the commercial ropes by the time this record came out in mid-75 or early 1975. The good news is that he was able to deliver a solid set that, while it didn't originally sell that much, at least it gave him enough momentum to take it out on tour and set the stage for Frampton Comes Alive a couple years later. The studio versions of Show Me the Way and Baby I Love Your Way stand up pretty well against the more well-known, of course, live takes, the ones that were released to radio. Overall, there's an amiability here and an ease that flows through this record. And you can tell that he really is in a good place, at least mentally, when he's recording it. And for that matter, the man who created it, all of these feelings, I think, that went into this album, made it a very likable album, and as history would later show, a bankable album as well, Frampton.
I wonder how you're feeling. There's ringing in my ears, and no one to relate to, save the sea. Who can I believe in? I'm kneeling on the floor. There has to be a force. Who do I phone?
Well, there you have it. I'm Michael Douglas. If you like what you see here on Dr. Pundit, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And as the late, great Barry White always used to say, let the music play. And I'll see you on the next episode.